Welcome back to All Hallows Read, listeners. I'm Jennifer Schiller, your librarian. Today I've got a story for you which is a bit more sinister and eerie than scary, but hopefully fitting. Submitted for your approval. A short story by John Collier, which was adapted into a classic episode of The Twilight Zone in 1959. The story is called The Chaser, as is the Twilight Zone episode. John Collier, I believe, did at least one novel, but he was best known for his short stories, and it's rather a shame that more of his short stories weren't adapted into Twilight Zone episodes because the overall tone and subject matter of his stories seemed like it would fit very well. Now, John Collier was also the author of a couple of short stories that directly or indirectly influenced musicals. His story, Evening Primrose, about a man who finds a secret society of people living in a department store after hours, was a made-for-television musical starring Anthony Perkins in the 1960s and composed by Stephen Sondheim. You can probably still find music from it or the show itself on streaming or on YouTube. Another short story of his, Green Thoughts, about a plant which consumes people, may have influenced Roger Corman's original cheap horror comedy, The Little Shop of Horrors, which in turn was the basis for the famous musical Little Shop of Horrors. So anyhow, this is The Chaser by John Collier, which, as I'll explain after the story, not only was the basis of an episode of The Twilight Zone, but may have influenced a story from Tales from the Crypt as well. Here is The Chaser by John Collier. Alan Austin, as nervous as a kitten, went up certain dark and creaky stairs in the neighborhood of Pell Street and peered about for a long time on the dime landing before he found the name he wanted, written obscurely on one of the doors. He pushed open this door, as he had been told to do, and found himself in a tiny room, which contained no furniture but a plain kitchen table, a rocking chair, and an ordinary chair. On one of the dirty buff-colored walls were a couple of shelves, containing in all perhaps a dozen bottles and jars. An old man sat in the rocking chair reading a newspaper. Alan, without a word, handed him the card he had been given. "Sit down, Mr. Austin," said the old man very politely. "I'm glad to make your acquaintance." "Is it true," asked Alan, "that you have a certain mixture that has, quite extraordinary effects?" "My dear sir," replied the old man, "my stock in trade is not very large. I don't deal in laxatives and teething mixtures, but such as it is varied. I think nothing I sell has effects which could be precisely described as ordinary." "Well, the fact is," began Alan. "Here, for example," interrupted the old man, reaching for a bottle from the shelf, "here is a liquid as colorless as water, almost tasteless, quite imperceptible in coffee, wine, or any other beverage. It is also quite imperceptible to any known method of autopsy." "Do you mean it is a poison?" cried Alan, very much horrified. "Call it a glove cleaner, if you like," said the old man indifferently. "Maybe it will clean gloves. I've never tried. One might call it a life cleaner. Lives need cleaning sometimes." "I want nothing of that sort," said Alan. "Probably it is just as well," said the old man. "Do you know the price of this? For one teaspoonful, which is sufficient, I ask $5,000. Never less, not a penny less." "I hope all your mixtures are not as expensive," said Alan apprehensively. "Oh dear, no," said the old man. "It'll be no good charging that sort of price for a love potion, for example. Young people who need a love potion very seldom have $5,000, otherwise they would not need a love potion." "I'm glad to hear that," said Alan. "I look at it like this," said the old man. "Please accustom him with one article, and he will come back when he needs another, even if it is more costly. He will save up for it if necessary." "So," said Alan, "you really do sell love potions?" "If I did not sell love potions," said the old man, reaching for another bottle, "I should not have mentioned the other matter to you. It is only when one is in a position to oblige that one can afford to be so confidential." "And these potions," said Alan, "they are not just. "Oh, no," said the old man. "Their effects are permanent and extend far beyond the mere casual impulse. But they include it. Oh, yes, they include it. Bountifully, insistingly, everlastingly." "Dear me," said Alan, attempting a look of scientific detachment. "How very interesting. But consider the spiritual side," said the old man. "I do indeed," said Alan. "For indifference," said the old man, "they substitute devotion. For scorn, adoration. Give one tiny measure of this to the young lady. Its flavor is imperceptible in orange juice, soup, or cocktails, and however gay and giddy she is, she will change altogether. She will want nothing but solitude and you. I can hardly believe it, said Alan. She is so fond of parties. She'll not like them any more, said the old man. She'll be afraid of the pretty girls he may meet. She will actually be jealous, cried Alan in a rapture. Of me? Yes, she will want to be everything to you. She is already, only she doesn't care about it. She will when she has taken this. She will care intensely. You will be her sole interest in life. Wonderful, cried Alan. She'll want to know all you do, said the old man, all that has happened to you during the day, every word of it. She'll want to know what you are thinking about, why you smile suddenly, why you are looking sad. That is love, cried Alan. Yes, said the old man. How carefully she will look after you. She will never allow you to be tired, to sit in a draught, to neglect your food. If you are an hour late, she will be terrified. She'll think you are killed or that some siren has caught you. I can hardly imagine Diana like that, cried Alan, overwhelmed with joy. You will not have to use your imagination, said the old man. And by the way, since there were always sirens, if by any chance you should later on slip a little, you need not worry. She'll forgive you in the end. She'll be terribly hurt, of course, but she'll forgive you in the end. That will not happen, said Alan fervently. Of course not, said the old man. But if it did, you need not worry. She would never divorce you. Oh, no. And of course, she will never give you the very least grounds for uneasiness. And how much, said Alan, is this wonderful mixture? It is not as dear, said the old man, as the glove cleaner, or life cleaner, as I sometimes call it. No, that is $5,000, never a penny less. One has to be older than you are to indulge in that sort of thing. One has to save up for it. But the love potion, said Alan. Oh, that, said the old man, opening a drawer in the kitchen table and taking out a tiny, rather dirty-looking vial. That is just $1. I can't tell you how grateful I am, said Alan, watching him fill it. I like to oblige, said the old man. Then customers come back later in life when they are better off and want more expensive things. Here you are. You will find it very effective. Thank you again, said Alan. Goodbye. Au revoir, said the man. You remember that au revoir in French means till we meet again. Obviously, the old man is expecting Alan to come back for more expensive items, once he has had a taste of this unending devotion that he thinks he wants. Now, as I said before, this was adapted into an episode of classic Twilight Zone, also called The Chaser, starring George Grizzard, John McIntyre, and Patricia Barry. It changed the names of the principals to Roger and Leela, and the old man, the old professor, was called A. Damon. Way to be subtle, Twilight Zone. Anyhow, this fleshed out the meat of the short story with some scenes before and after the events that I just read. It started off with Roger begging for some of Leela's attention and finding out how to contact Professor Damon, continuing with what we heard in the short story, him asking for the love potion. Went on to show him slipping Leela the love potion, and then showed the aftermath of Leela's sickening, nauseating, ever-intense devotion that Roger soon grew utterly sick of within 6 months of marriage. And of course, if you don't mind any spoilers for the Twilight Zone episode, and if you do, you can switch off now. Roger went back to Professor Damon and bought the so-called glove cleaner with the last of his savings. Professor Damon encouraged Roger to use it right away, and he had to use all of it. And furthermore, he had to use it immediately. If he failed to use it the first time, he would never have the courage to do so again. So Roger went back home, slipped the so-called glove cleaner into Leela's champagne, and then Leela told him she was pregnant, and Roger, in shock, dropped both glasses, losing his chance to rid himself of Leela's obsessive devotion. The scene cut to Professor Damon sitting out on the porch of the apartment, blowing a smoke ring in the shape of a heart and then vanishing. Rather interesting effect for 1959. So that is how the Twilight Zone episode played out. What I like about this and the original short story is that it doesn't so much slam the idea of love or marriage, but just that very immature, very selfish version of love that Roger, and many people for that matter, think they want. Roger thought it would be all he could ever ask for to be the sole interest in Leela's life and the sole reason for her existence. He got a when